What's up fellow hunters, Nox here. Welcome to another exciting build video. Today we're going to talk about Lance, and you can choose between raw damage and element builds. We also have an ultimate guard build that will make you feel like an unbreakable tank. Let's get right into this. We're going to start with the maximum DPS build for raw damage. This thing hits like an absolute truck while being really comfortable to play. To get all the essential skills, we need a talisman with either 2 levels of Mail of Hellfire or build up boost. If it has 1 level 2 slot, that is already enough. I'm using a Mail of Hellfire level 3 talisman here because I happen to have one. Weapon of choice is the Lucent Nargacuga Lance. 395 attack, purple sharpness, 15 poison and great slots. To increase our damage, the first thing we have is a big stack of affinity based skills. Weakness Exploit, Critical Eye, and Bloodlust will set us at 100% affinity on weak spots. Along with that, we of course have Critical Boost to get the most out of our critical hits. Then we have Attack Boost level 7 for a big increase to raw attack. Same thing goes for Mail of Hellfire on the red scroll. This will give us another 15 to 35 attack depending on the level of the skill. Since we're using a status weapon, we of course have built up boost. This will increase raw damage by 10, 15 or 20% if the attack applies status. That is a massive DPS boost. Next, we have the combination of Chameleos Blessing level 3 and Foray level 1. At level 3, Chameleos Blessing will double the amount of time a monster stays poisoned, and Foray level 1 will give us a 10 attack bonus as long as a monster is poisoned, which of course means these two skills have great synergy. We also have 1 level of Blood Awakening, which will give us a bonus of 10 raw attack here. In order to activate this, we have to regenerate HP by landing attacks. This will happen automatically in the background since we have Bloodrite in the build for health regeneration. And thanks to Bloodrite, we can also make use of Peak Performance. This will add another 20 attack on top as long as our health is full. And that is very easy to keep up with Lance. But if you don't want to use Peak Performance, there are plenty of customization options. For example, you could add more guard skills, handicraft, or something like Evade Extender. Next, we have Offensive Guard. This will increase our attack by 15% for 12 seconds after executing a perfectly timed guard. This skill has huge value for Lance. For sharpness management, we have Master's Touch, giving us an 80% chance of not losing sharpness when landing critical hits. As a bonus, we have Intrepid Heart and Stun Resistance for added safety, as well as Powder Mantle, Coalescence, and Burst for extra damage. Each of the builds will come with Guard level 3 as a default baseline. One important thing to keep in mind is that guard skills are completely up to personal preference. Let's quickly cover the different ones we'll see in the video so we don't have to do that on every build later. The standard guard skill will decrease the impact of attacks while guarding as well as the stamina requirements. Embolden gives us the same effects as guard level 2, 3 or 5 at considerably lower cost. But in order for the skill to be active, we have to be targeted by a monster. The important thing to know here is that Guard and Embolden actually stack. Combining these two skills also allows you to push the effects of the Guard skill beyond Guard level 5. And then we have the Guard Up skill, which makes unblockable attacks blockable and also decreases any damage we take while blocking. Keep in mind that you can stack all of these skills to increase your guarding capabilities or leave them out of your build entirely if you want. This is what my current augments are looking like if you're trying to recreate a similar version of the build. The first thing we need to do is get a triple slot upgrade on the waist by using the slot plus augmenting method. Next, we go for 1 level of offensive guard. After that, our goal is to max out build up boost and Mail of Hellfire. What you have to aim for with augments will of course depend on the talisman you're using. Next, we have the ultimate guard build. In the background, you can see me fighting Primordial Malzeno and Risen Valstrax at the same time. That perfectly demonstrates how ridiculous this build really is when it comes to blocking. This will make even the craziest combo attacks feel like an absolute joke. I'm using the Teostra Lance as example here, but this build can be used with any raw damage lance. The best options would be the Lucent Nargacuga, Scorned Magnamalo, Teostra, and Seething Basil Lance. Each one of these has some kind of benefit and there is no bad choice here. You can pick whichever one you like. I'm using a Guard level 5 talisman with 3 level 2 slots. That looks kind of freakish, but is actually nothing special anymore. If it has 2 level 2 slots, that would also be enough. Let's get the most obvious thing out of the way first. This build has all of the guard skills maxed out. We have Guard level 5, Embolden level 3, and Guard up level 3, turning us into a nearly indestructible tank. I'll be honest, this is complete overkill. In most cases, you won't need anywhere near this amount of blocking power, but it is a lot of fun to use and incredibly comfortable. All of the main damage increasing skills we had on the first build are intact here as well. We have Attack Boost, Offensive Guard, Build Up Boost, Mail of Hellfire, Powder Mantle, and a few bonuses. Of course, we also have a max affinity setup combined with critical boost. The big difference here is that part of the affinity now comes from maximum might. That brings us to another core skill of the build, Heaven Sent. At level 3, this has a bunch of benefits for us. First off, when Heaven Sent is active, we get infinite stamina, which means maximum might will always be active along with it. The infinite stamina also means we can block any number of attacks in a row without the monster ever breaking through our guard. And secondly, we don't lose any sharpness while Heaven Sent is active. Along with that, we also still have the effect of Heaven Sent level 2, meaning that we can restore 50 hits of sharpness by swapping scrolls if we need to. That makes sharpness management super easy and comfortable here. To activate Heaven Sent, we have to not get knocked back for 15 seconds, which is gonna be incredibly easy for us because we have the safest shield build in the game. And as a bonus, we also have Intrepid Heart and Shock Absorber for added comfort. If you enjoy a strong, reliable shield, this is the build to make. The augments for this build are very straightforward. 3 levels of build up boost and as many levels of Mail of Hellfire as you want to use. Otherwise, you can go for anything else you like. You can of course also use a build up boost or Mail of Hellfire talisman instead if you're struggling with the augments. Before we jump into the element builds, let's take a look at the best weapon options. We have the Shark Lance for ice, Ludroth for water, Flaming Espinas for fire, Narwa for thunder, and Primordial Malzeno for dragon. Rampage decoration should be Alan Bane or one of the anti-species decos. We're gonna start with the comfy element build. I'm using the Shark Lance as example, but this can of course be used with any of the weapons we saw a moment ago. I'm using an attack boost level 3 talisman with 3 level 2 slots. However, there are plenty of different talismans that will work here, and 2 level 2 slots on it would again be enough. The damage essentials from the previous builds are intact here as well. A max affinity setup, attack boost, offensive guard, and Mail of Hellfire. The difference here is that we now want to prioritize playing on the blue scroll. This will let us take advantage of the huge element attack boost from Mail of Hellfire. But even if you decide to stay on red, Mail of Hellfire will still have great value. Next, we of course have all of the essential elemental skills, starting off with level 5 of whatever element we choose. Then we have Element Exploit for a 10 to 15% increase to elemental damage when attacking weak spots. Critical Element adds another 15% to elemental damage when landing critical hits. Depending on the weapon, we also get to add Kushala or Teostra Blessing. This will give us an additional 10% element attack on top. Burst will increase both element and raw damage further when landing continuous hits. Just like the previous build, this one has Heaven Sent level 3, giving us infinite stamina and sharpness. Keep in mind that some of the weapons have natural purple sharpness. In those cases, you won't need the handicraft decoration, giving you a free level 4 slot. You can then use that to add things like Evade Extender or more element exploit, for example. There's not much to say about the augments. When using an attack boost talisman, the first goal will be getting 3 levels of Mail of Hellfire. After that, you want to go for 1 level of offensive guard. And the last thing will be 1 level of maximum might or any other level 2 skill from the decoration list. Next, we have the maximum DPS build for element. If you're facing something with a high elemental weakness, this build is going to tear it apart. This can of course be used with any of the elemental lances as well. Any talisman with 2 levels of Mail of Hellfire will get the job done here. Just like the previous build, we have a max affinity setup and all of the same elemental damage increases. Element attack, element exploit, critical element, burst, and Mail of Hellfire. The big difference here is that attack boost is down to level 4, but we instead have the amazing combination of dereliction and strife. Dereliction will slowly drain our health, but give us additional raw attack on the blue scroll. At level 1, we get 15, 20, or 25 additional raw attack, depending on the number of Curio flying around us. And since Dereliction will leave us with constant red health, this will automatically activate Strife. At level 3, Strife will increase our element by 15 to 20%, depending on how much red health we have. We always get at least 15%, even if it's just the tiniest bit of red. And we also get a constant increase of 10% affinity. As a bonus, we again have Intrepid Heart for added safety, as well as Powder Mantle and Coalescence for extra damage. You can also make a small variation to the build by using the Primordial Malzeno arms instead of the Risen Valstrax ones. That will add 1 level of Blood Awakening into the build. Just keep in mind to adjust your skills accordingly. The augments for this build are actually very simple, even if it might not seem like that at first glance. The essential thing here is only getting the slot upgrades. The skills that are actually worth aiming for are 1 level of Powder Mantle, and then Critical Element or any level 2 skill from the decoration list. Coalescence and Burst are only bonus skills here, you don't have to aim for them specifically. Switch skills for Lance are completely up to personal preference and playstyle. These are the ones I used in the video. Depending on what I'm hunting, I do use others as well. I highly recommend trying out multiple different combinations to see what you enjoy the most. Make sure you check out the other builds on the channel so you don't miss anything you might enjoy. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.